One of the best ways to start improving your parenting is to understand what options you have as a parent. Most people talk about 4 different parenting styles: authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and neglectful. We're going to discuss those 4 types of parenting styles and introduce you to 3 more. The term that I use for authoritarian or militant parenting is bully, fear-based parenting. I feel like that describes it better because really there is this bullying that occurs. It's very emotional, manipulative. One person has to be the loudest, the king of the hill. There's definitely one tyrant and a whole bunch of minions. That's how authoritarian parenting works. And the goal of the children in that environment is to become the next authority. Now, authoritative parenting is usually considered to be the preferred type of parenting. The definition goes that authoritative parents are still demanding, but they are more warm and caring than the authoritarian parent. I call these parents traditional strict parents. And I think, again, that is a better description of what an authoritative parent actually is. Because what does strict mean? Strict means that a person governs themselves by a certain set of principles, which means my principles and my practice match each other. That means that a person is controlling themselves. Usually when people focus on the 4 styles of parenting, there isn't much emphasis on the parent being in control of themselves. It's all what they do to the child. But a traditional strict parent is focusing on mastering themselves, controlling themselves, having calmness, conquering their beasts, while at the same time teaching their children those same things. Self-government is a powerful force, and it starts within the heart of the parent. That's why I love the word strict, because it really embodies that person is forming themselves, restricting themselves. Both of these first 2 styles of parenting, authoritarian and authoritative, come from the root word authority. Authority is something that is lacking in a lot of homes nowadays. In fact, there is a loss of parental authority that is spreading across the land. And we are seeing increased selfishness of children, increased mistreatment and disregard for parents. We're seeing children with higher levels of anxiety, with entitlement issues. The list goes on, and it is because there is a loss of authority that's in the home. So if I had to err on the side of bad parenting, if I could only choose, say, between the types of parenting that had authority but were kind of meanish and the ones that didn't maintain any authority, which are the other 2 styles we're going to talk about next, I would actually say the better one is to be authoritarian. I don't love authoritarian. I want to be very clear about that. That's the bully fear-based. It's not very productive, but at least it maintains parental authority for the child, which does usually provide some benefit and direction for the child in the long run. But to be very clear, the preferred, the best is authoritative parenting, but let's call it traditional strict, because it can mean so much more than just being demanding and kind. The 3rd style of parenting that is generally referred to is permissive parenting. Permissive parents are usually characterized as being warm and accepting of anything the child does wrong, and also being understanding. And I think I could debate on the understanding, because I've seen a lot of permissive parenting in this day and age. In fact, it's probably the most popular form of parenting that we see. But many permissive parents aren't understanding what their child really needs. Their child needs a leader, not more choices. A child needs to learn what's right and wrong, good and bad, true and false. And a permissive parent doesn't often teach very heavy lessons in that area. They just let the child choose for themselves what they think is right or wrong. That's what permissive means. They allow whatever. the child wants to do. So I don't know if that's really understanding, even though most people will say that that is understanding. And I'm sure that there'll probably be comments about this to this video. And that's okay. Everybody can interpret it the way that they want to. I'm just telling you that this is how I see it. I call these types of parents modern progressive parents. And there are many characteristics to the modern progressive parent. It is true they want to be friendly and kind and accept their child. That's true. And I think they want to be understanding, and they think they are understanding. But the modern progressive parent does not set the boundaries and the limits. They don't teach the child self-mastery by telling them no. In fact, the answers are almost always yes. Yes, yes, yes. And a person needs to learn to accept a no answer to be a fully functioning adult. Modern progressive or permissive parenting actually promotes lots of entitlement. There's this feeling of deserving, because supposedly they're understanding the child, right? The parents say, well, my child deserves to have this, or they deserve to have that. And then the child says, I deserve, I deserve. I'm the daughter of a retired public school teacher and university professor. My father tells me that there is this drastic difference between how parents used to be with their children and their child's grades and how parents are now. Parents expect their children to succeed at every single thing. The pressure is intense. And if the child for some reason doesn't succeed in a test score or for a grade for a class, even in college, they come in and they talk to my dad and say, you've got to give him a different grade. They need it because of this, that, or the other. That's not understanding what the child needs. That's enabling the child, teaching the child entitlement. And you know what else? Putting pressure on the child to always be perfect. It's no wonder we have so many children with anxiety. They've never been taught how to fail. Failing is so important, and it can only be taught by a person who has the authority to say, nope, that was not good enough. And shouldn't it be the parent that does that? That historically has been the role of all of the adults in a community. The fourth parenting style is neglectful parenting, or some people just call it neglect. These types of parents are cold and unaccepting, yet they're usually also labeled as understanding. I don't get that. In fact, I'm not really sure that a neglectful parent is any different than a permissive parent thinks that they are. Sure, some parents may say, I don't care. They can do whatever they want. But in reality, aren't they thinking, oh yeah, I'm just giving to my child, just giving. They probably think they're being kind. I put those two together because permissive parents often neglect their responsibilities and neglect the needs of the child. So I lump both of those into the camp of modern progressive parenting. So normally people think there are 4 styles of parenting, and that's okay. You can say that there are 4 styles of parenting, but what I've seen is there's 3. And then there are a million others. Because what happens is many people say, oh, I am a very principled person. And so they want to have a principled family, but they don't know practices or skills to match those principles. So they end up shifting back and forth between authoritarian and permissive, authoritarian and permissive, because an authoritative or traditional strict parent actually knows skills. They pre-plan how they're going to handle problems. Many people just shift. They might go to church one week and say, aha, another principle I need to use. They come home and try, it fails, they become authoritarian. Over time, what I've seen is this bully fear base or authoritarian type parenting hasn't been embraced more and more, to the point that people are actually endorsing the mistreatment of children, hitting children, belittling children. Everyone knows the loss of parental authority is bad. And I think as a society, many people have been turning on the mass acceptance of permissive parenting. It's funny that we actually laugh at the neglectful parents. We've been turning our back on those 2 types of parenting incrementally for the last little while. But what is resulting is just more bullying. We shouldn't just be going from one side of the spectrum to the other, and the answer isn't anywhere in between on that spectrum either. The answer is to move into the heart of the person. If we do that, then we can touch the heart of the children and our hearts can be transformed at the same time. It's true, parenting done right, parents' hearts change, children's hearts change. Traditional strict parenting is what is required to have a change of heart. It's pre-planned, it's based on skills and principles, and everyone's held accountable. There's authority that's in place, and it's empowering for the next generation. We've talked about the different parenting styles, but how do these parenting styles really affect child development? To find out, watch my video, How Parenting Styles Affect Child Development.